Hi, my name is Sharlene Rochard, and I'm a Jeffrey Epstein survivor. What I experienced was almost more than anybody can handle.
My name is Ms Stein. I first met Jeffrey Epstein when I was a senior in college. I thought that I was there in a professional capacity, and they had other ideas.
My name is Rina O. I met Jeffrey Epstein in the year 2000. These are the type of people that get high off of making other people suffer. They're very sadistic.
My name is Sky Roberts, and I am the brother of Virginia Giuffre, one of the most prominent survivors of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. This is a large sex trafficking operation that took place for decades.
My name is Amanda Roberts, and I am the sister-in-law of Virginia Giuffre. She told me the horrors of the abuse that happened to her. It wasn't just physical, it wasn't just sexual, but it was mental.
I'm Dorothy Gronert. Carolyn Andriana was my daughter. At 14, she was recruited by Epstein. They went in one way, came out another way. Let me sum it up that way. They're never the same.
You ready to start? Virginia was sex trafficked by Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein to some of the world's most powerful and rich men and women. This abuse goes incredibly deep into our systems. It almost shakes our systems to the core.
One day, Ghislaine Maxwell came into the store as a client, and we shopped together, and we started talking. She was immediately familiar with me. She found points of connection between us in our first conversation, and she made me feel at ease. She made me feel like she was a girlfriend. And so when we finished shopping, I offered to deliver her packages to her, which was something that I would do frequently for high-end clients so they didn't have to carry the packages around all day. When I approached the concierge, they let me know that Maxwell was in the bar and that there was someone that she wanted me to meet. When I went into the bar, I was introduced to Jeffrey Epstein. And that was the first time that I met Epstein, and that was the first time that I was assaulted, the first day that I met them.
I met Jeffrey when I was a very young teenager in New York. I was modeling, and I went to his house in New York, Miami, and I was on the island. What I experienced was almost more than anybody can handle, and more than I am willing to say right now, but I'm sure that you can imagine the horrors that I felt inside for many, many years.
I was eager to go meet Jeffrey. I brought my portfolio with me, and he used my talent to abuse me for the next 2 years. All the girls that visited that townhouse were escorted by the butler, and we had to go in, or I had to go in and sit down and wait until Mr. Epstein was ready to see you. And this is what the butler always said. I was sitting there one day, and Ghislaine, she peered in and asked me, "Who are you?" And I told her my name is Rina. She said, "Oh, you're Rina. You're all Jeffrey ever talks about." But she kind of squealed, and it was very uncomfortable. I didn't know who she was. Jeffrey never mentioned her name, and that was the first time I saw her. And later on, I saw Ghislaine in Florida. That's when I saw her other side. I saw a different version of this woman. I got to know her, and I didn't like her, and she didn't like me.
I understood Carolyn was house cleaning for Jeffrey, serving at parties. I did not realize what was really going on, as she did come home with bruises, bite marks on her neck, rings around her arms and her feet, with no explanation. Come home under the influence of drugs and alcohol. No explanation. Got told she fell downstairs. She didn't know what happened. This went on for a couple of years. Unfortunately, I didn't know about it in the very beginning. I kind of found out about it when it's too late.
I mean, this was a sex trafficking operation. These girls were essentially being molested and raped by these men. There's brutal times. I mean, she speaks about it in her memoir, Nobody's Girl, where she was brutally raped by a former prime minister. These two doubled down on my suffering. In my years with them, they lent me out to scores of wealthy, powerful people. I was habitually used and humiliated, and in some instances choked, beaten, and bloodied. I believed that I might die a sex slave. Hopefully that tells you everything you need to know. It hurts.
I felt a stab of fear. Why did Epstein have a photo of the person I loved most in the world? We know where your brother goes to school, Epstein said. He let that sink in for a moment, then got to his point. You must never tell a soul what goes on in this house. He was smiling, but his threat was clear. Should I ever be tempted to betray him and go to the authorities? It is deeply unsettling and unnerving, and it shows you the real raw pain in which the fear that survivors felt, not just for themselves but their families. And it shows you how far these predators went to threaten and manipulate survivors, these girls.
The grooming and manipulation that I went through as a young girl has affected my life in every possible way you can imagine. I feel that I am untrusting of people.
He grabbed me by the arm, had me sit down next to him. He yelled at me and told me, if you ever tell anyone what really goes on around here, something's gonna happen to you. This was his mission. And so Ghislaine was his partner in this mission, the two of them. They're evil people.
It impacted her life where she couldn't come out anymore. She couldn't come out the door. She was afraid of what these people might do to her because she escaped them. And now today, unfortunately, my daughter's no longer here.
I was watching them and studying them, and I was also scared to ask any questions. They're a very intimidating couple. They let you know that they're in charge, that you're worthless.
It's the cycle of abuse. They don't always say they're sorry, but they make you feel like it was your fault. So I went through life at that time thinking that if I did something wrong, it was my fault. And that's how I was manipulated and groomed. And that's why things lasted so long, because again, you want to please your abuser. And when you start looking at how this actually happens to young girls, that is exactly how it happens. They manipulate you so much, you believe everything they say, and you want to please them. And if you don't do what they say, you're threatened. You're told that you're no longer good anymore.
In 2019, when Epstein was arrested, I had no idea that this had happened to anyone other than me, and I was shocked and appalled to find out what we now know, that there is at least 1,000 victims of this crime.
I realized there were other survivors when people started coming out and speaking about it, and that's one of the reasons why I'm speaking out today, because what happened to us was, I want to say, It's the crimes against humanity. It is just unbelievable. And I really do lean on my survivor sisters to understand what happened to me, and I really do feel like they are the only ones that understand.
I am enraged, and even if there isn't any incriminating evidence, there are a lot of names that were released in those files. Why are those people not being questioned? Every single girl whose name appeared in those files, first of all, our privacy was violated. And then we were all interviewed by the government, by the FBI, by attorneys. We appeared in court cases. Our testimonies have already been given. Where are their testimonies? I want to know what they saw. And clearly, based on these messages that we are discovering now, they were very deeply involved, and they knew what Jeffrey and Ghislaine were up to, and there were others. This was a ring of sex predators. The way they were speaking about what they're doing, it just sounds like they're joking about it. It's very sadistic. It's classic behavior of someone that is an abuser. And that's how they dehumanized all the victims.
They had no right to do this to innocent children. They virtually took their lives from them. They changed their lives forever. They changed their families' lives forever. They've changed their children's lives forever.
And there's so many survivors out there that deserve to tell their story and deserve to be believed. And it's time that we pass legislation for this. And I am so deeply proud of her with the influence that she's created, even though she's not here.
I can sum this up by saying this is a total epidemic of our world, of our society. All of these people that are involved, politicians, presidents, judges, lawyers, police officers, on and on and on. Who do we teach our children to look up to? Corruption? Is this what we teach our children? How to control with money? That's all I see from this. How they use children as guinea pigs. Not to mention what these children have endured. And now that we all get to see it, when does it end? We're supposed to have presidents, we're supposed to have police, we're supposed to have lawyers, we're supposed to have judges. Why are they letting this go on? It's time this is over. It comes to an end.